Welcome to Dagnabbit Boys Halloween edition. We're getting spooky up here tonight.
Yeah, this is such a Halloween edition. It's going to come out a week from Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
There is an episode out today, but it is not Halloween based.
And
we didn't think about that. That was our Halloween episode.
Oh, yeah. We should have considered that. But this episode's also a sequel to the one that came out today.
Yeah, this episode and the last one are kind of a two-parter. They're sister episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're recording the day after, which usually you don't get on podcasts. You don't get this kind of turnaround in ideas and experience. A lot of times I go, oh, well, we'll see how we feel. And, by then the magic's gone.
Yeah.
But you went to the strip club last night. You texted me a picture of pussy juice just covering your pants. You brought $700 and you spent $1,100.
Yes.
So where was most of that? Were you did you make it rain at all, or is that just
no? I just got a dance. So all the women, they were just sitting alone. So there was just there's just a bunch of women. There was all these couches, and the majority of the women were sitting alone. So
you went up to one and said, "Hello, I'm Shane Bianchi."
Yes, It's
kind of weird, a strip club where you have to approach the strippers.
Oh, yeah. I was looking around nobody's really approaching me. But it's funny because I feel like of the strip clubs I've been to, fairly recent, the more I go to strip clubs, the less I get approached. You know what I mean? I feel like women, they know if you can tell that, women, they love those strippers. They go for the mark immediately. I remember I walked in with Mikey, who had only been to one other strip club, and one in Vegas. He immediately got marked.
But you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Does that feel good?
Yeah, it makes me feel street smart.
So you approached the stripper you ended up having a nice time with.
Yes, she was sitting on the couch. I kind of just looked around, and I just picked the prettiest one.
Okay. And then how'd you start your interaction?
I just sat down next to her, and we were talking about where we were from. She mentioned being from Chicago, and we talked about Chicago for a minute. I told her that when I go to visit, I stay in Wicker Park, and she was like, "Oh, you look like a Wicker Park guy."
What's that area like?
It's kind of like I would compare it to it's the equivalent of Chicago to where I live now and where you live. You used to live.
So you find your spots.
Yes. But yeah, we talked for a minute. She's very nice. The DJ, I remember we went to the VIP room and the DJ said there's a sale. There's a sale for 30 minutes. It's $450.
So did you do that twice?
I did, yes. And then I tipped her $200.
Okay, so you spent $900 on two 30-minute dances.
Yes.
Is that worth it?
I think so. I mean, we had a very nice conversation. I wrote this joke in my notes about how, I know I'm not as much of a dirtbag as I want to be, because I've had multiple strippers be like, "Thank you for asking me questions."
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there's also, a middle ground where it's you don't want to be the guy that's I always get real with the strippers and find out their real names, because that's its own kind of asshole. And then you don't want to be the guy that's treating them like a fucking dog.
Yeah.
That thinks that that's how you're supposed to treat strippers. Because then you get away from humanity.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that's well, they're strippers. You can just do whatever. And it's well, I mean, that's like yelling at a waiter.
Oh, yeah.
Technically, you're paying them, but this is a human.
Yes.
So you probably find a decent middle ground of
yeah.
kind of normal conversation that is happening in the midst of a business transaction.
Yes.
Which I guess makes everybody feel comfortable, because she's like, I'm getting paid. This guy's asking regular questions.
Yes.
Not really prodding.
Yeah, no.
You're finding out basic stuff. Did you find out anything that was a bummer? I feel like that can come up a lot with talking to a stripper.
Not really.
Well,
but
that's good.
It wasn't really a bummer, just because all the stuff that could be considered a bummer, I also, is also true of myself.
Like how you guys were raised or something?
Yes.
So you bonded over that?
We bonded over that. She got really excited at one point because she found out that we smoked the same type of cigarette. That was our first cigarette.
Yeah.
And the first type of drink.
Yeah.
And my first cigarette was a Newport, and my first drink was Hennessy. And she was like, "That was mine."
Yeah, see, this is why I can't go to a strip club, because even hearing this story, I'm like, that sounds like a nice time. It sounds like you guys like each other.
Yeah.
And that's not
how it works, Cooper.
And I know that.
Yeah.
And I know that. But I'm just saying, I'm like, it seemed like she really liked you.
Yeah.
And I can't get that out of my head. I'm just forgetting
Well, that's supposed to be in your head.
Sure.
You're supposed to go home and be like, I think we had a connection. But you didn't.
Yeah. I guess you just have to sort of... I mean, it's not really a lie, because if you're paying for a lie, it's not a lie. You were paying to be lied to. So
you go to a stripper to feel better about yourself, basically. She said very nice things about my physical appearance.
Really?
Feel good.
What did she say?
She kept looking into my eyes, and she said that I have beautiful eyes.
Wow.
She can't stop staring at my eyes.
Uh-huh.
And I also mentioned that I haven't been working out a lot, and she said, "You don't look like you haven't been working out a lot." She called me fit, which that's how I knew she was bullshitting.
Wasn't it scary?
She said I looked fit.
Isn't it scary that you go into a place where the job is essentially, not in a bad way, but the job is essentially to lie a little bit to make guys feel good. You go in there, you know that. You get lied to.
Yeah.
And you still kind of believe it. And it still kind of works. Like, you don't believe it, but there's still a part of you that does, because it made you feel good. So you had to believe it enough for it to make you feel good. And that's kind of scary that, like, damn, you walk out this door and somebody else could lie to me.
Yeah.
And I would believe them if it was positive.
I would say though, I get enough compliments on my eyes that what I think happened is she just kind of zeroed in on something that she could say. She tried to get me to kiss her at one point, and I didn't do it.
Why do you think she wanted to kiss you? Is that...
I think it was just part of the whole thing.
It was just part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you asked her, you said, have you kissed other guys tonight? You haven't kissed anyone else tonight, right?
Yeah.
She's like, no, I just sucked 4 guys' dicks. And you're like, then that's okay.
Yeah.
I like tasting dick. I ain't gay, though.
Yeah, that's kind of why I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not... A lot of people, they say not to suck on the tit. I suck on the tit. I'm not...
They let you suck on the tit?
She put the tit in my mouth. Like, she kept putting the nipple, like, she was brushing it up against my lips, and I wasn't taking the bait. And she just kept doing it, and I just turned and I was like, am I supposed to suck on your tit?
And she said, yeah?
She said, yeah. She did say, yeah.
Did she have large tits?
They're kind of medium, but they were very nice.
Is this a white girl?
No.
What kind of girl?
Mexican.
From Chicago.
Yeah, they have a lot of Mexicans.
What was her stripper name?
Star.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Kind of a classic one.
But her name is translated... I actually don't know what race she was, but from where she's from, her real name translates to Star.
Oh, so it kind of works.
Yeah.
So she's kind of meant to be.
She told me that she, like, was happy because Star is a common stripper name and nobody else at the place was named Star.
Yeah, so everything's working out for her.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. How much do you think she makes a night?
She did not look like she was making... Because she had her stack of tips. It didn't look good.
Where was the strip club?
It was in downtown LA.
Oh, so it was a cheaper one.
I don't know.
Was it nice looking?
I wanted kind of it's in a shitty area. I thought about going to... It's near the freeway.
So like near like the high rises? Like
remember where the people burnt down the pallet factory? They burnt down the pallet factory and they shut down the freeway for a couple days.
Okay.
It's a very homeless area.
Okay.
So
was it pretty empty?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound that crowded. You said you went in and all the strippers were just sitting around.
There's a couple guys in there, but yeah, there was not a lot. I mean, Did
you tell her about the podcast?
No.
Why?
Oh, I should have. Oh, this is very funny.
I think strippers would love this podcast.
Yeah, but this is very funny. So I told her, I mean, I did kind of lie. I told her I did stand up for a living, which is both lie and kind of the truth.
Yeah, you know.
She asked where I perform, and I said the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And she, like, tried to tell me about Ciro's.
Oh, about what? How did she know about that?
I don't know.
Did you stop her?
I
You
did.
said you tried, so you
Yeah,
were
I
like,
did stop her. I was
how'd you
like,
stop
yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, Ciro's, and then
she loves LA history.
yeah, it seemed like it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was cool if I feel like this podcast could appeal to strippers because we talk about some crazy stuff, but also we talk about books and stuff. And I do, I feel like strippers and sex workers that I've met have a lot of interests.
yeah,
And they like crafting a lot of times. They have stuff, they're into. Because they're a person who works at night and makes a shit ton of money.
yeah.
So their days are pretty full of like interesting stuff going on.
Oh, she told me why she started stripping in Chicago to be able to afford to move to LA, and she also has 2 other jobs. She's a flight attendant. That's the main other one. I don't remember what the other one is, but she's talking about how she has standbys. She can use standby.
She's got quite a life set up for herself.
Oh yeah,
She makes like a bunch of tip money and then can fly anywhere.
as I said, it didn't seem like she had a lot. She had a stack of ones,
But for a young person,
and then I gave her 200.
she must be a great flight attendant.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
she was beautiful.
yeah. And also just but with that stripper care, taking that into flight attendants,
Yeah.
it's not a thing anymore. Flight attendants are very gruff and they're old.
Mm.
And she's like the young hot flight attendant that old men are like, damn, this plane has a young hot flight attendant. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, they're like, man, I wish I could get this woman's pussy in my face somehow.
And they don't know that they kind of could if they were at her other job.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine if you were on a plane and you're like, damn, that flight attendant's hot, and you find out she was a stripper and you're like, fuck, I'm so mad I'm on this plane flying away from wherever the fuck she works.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I'm gonna have to fly back.
It would be sick if you saw a flight attendant you thought was hot and then went to a strip club and saw the flight attendant and were like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is awesome. I was wondering what your tits looked like.
Yeah.
And now I can give you $450 to look at them for 30 minutes.
Oh, I also want to point out, she got pussy cream all over my work shoes. I told you about this. So if you're watching the podcast, there's a stain on my work shoes right here from pussy cream.
Shane sent me a picture of his
or
pants.
discharge.
You sent me a
whatever.
picture of your pants absolutely covered in pussy jizz. I mean, it must have been embarrassing to walk out with all that pussy jizz on you.
Yeah, part of the reason is we had a good conversation, and the last 10 minutes was just me dry humping her.
Right.
Yeah, so that's part of what the deal was. And let's see. Oh yeah. So I walked out.
Did you ask her if she came? Did you come from the dry hump?
It did smell like sex in there. It was pretty nasty.
Well,
but,
probably. I mean, she's leaking pussy juice on you.
Yeah, but fucking. So on the Uber ride back, because I Ubered there, I realized that I was smelling up the Uber.
Yeah.
I was stinking it up with the fucking pussy juice all over my lap.
Yeah. Did you say anything?
No, but I felt really bad because also probably some did leak onto the seats.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to smell pussy, though. Maybe he'd been bored all night, and then he's like, damn, that guy back there got some pussy.
You know what's
funny? He doesn't know you just had it rubbed on you for $900.
No, he picked me up from the strip club.
Yeah.
But, so the Uber ride was funny because we literally talked about food the entire time. He just told me restaurants he likes. Like, it was very funny. He was like, he just asked me questions of like, you got some food you like out here?
That seems tough to keep a conversation with the mist of pussy juice in the air.
Yeah.
Just every time you talk, you're just like,
yeah. So what happened afterwards, I go back home. I go out to smoke a cigarette. I want to point out I smoked 45 cigarettes yesterday.
We got to work on that, you know? That's more than 2 packs.
Yeah.
Because a pack's 20.
Yes.
So you smoke, yeah. That's crazy. You were smoking Reds, right?
Reds, I think I had a pack of Camels earlier.
Yeah, because you smoke very light cigarettes, so...
Yeah.
If you switch to spirits, that would at least bump it down to, I'd say, 35. You'd probably drop at least 10. They take a while to smoke, you know?
So I go back. I go outside.
We gotta get you on cigars or something, because 45 is fucking crazy.
I mean, my addiction problem.
I would probably do the same thing if I was smoking Reds. I mean, I smoke pretty compulsively, too. I'm doing Zyn right now. Usually, honestly...
Can I bum a Zyn?
Of course you can. We're both horribly addicted to nicotine.
So what happened was I was downstairs smoking a cigarette, and my pants were still covered in pussy juice. I did clean them later that night. My roommate John comes home from the Dodger parade, and he comes over and he has two friends with him. One of which is a woman.
Okay.
And I'm just covered in pussy juice.
So she's automatically like, this is the dawn of the house.
Yeah.
She's immediately attracted to you.
No, that's exactly.
In another woman's pheromones.
Yes, exactly. And so I'm smoking outside. John comes up, and they're telling me about how they saw a guy light a bus on fire. So as a bit, I was starting a rumor I was involved.
Right.
Because I knew videos and shit would come out the next day.
Right.
And I turn to John, and I'm just like, yeah, it feels weird meeting new people, because I had never met them before in my life. I was meeting new people after where I just was, and John just tells them he was at the strip club, and they got a big kick out of that. And we talked about strip clubs.
It's the funniest place to have just come from.
Yeah.
To be like, what have you been up to? Because as of then, you're just a normal guy smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you got pussy juice all over you.
Yeah, I didn't have the heart to show them that, but I just turned to John when they were talking to each other, and I just I have to show you something. And then I lifted up my shirt and looked down, and then he saw it and just cackled.
Did they notice? I mean, how did
they did not notice?
How did they not? Wow. They would have thought you were so cool. They would have said, whoa, this guy's smoking a cigarette, he's covered in pussy juice. This guy has it all.
Yeah, my life's pretty weird.
I mean, what? You're a single 20s guy in LA. Did it make you feel better?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you said you had a bad day. You thought sucking on some titties would make you feel better. So
that's exactly what I said. Yes. Sucking on some titties and having her tell me my eyes were beautiful.
Did you compliment her?
Yeah. You kind of have to, you know?
I guess so, but I guess I wonder if sometimes it would just sound dumb. If she's just like, well, yeah.
Well, you're in the moment.
Obviously.
You're in the moment. You gotta just be in the moment.
You're so sexy, baby type shit?
No. Not like grody like that.
That's not grody.
It's a little bit, yeah.
Calling somebody sexy?
Yeah, I mean...
I think it pokes the toe in the water in a polite way.
Yeah. I mean, especially in that context.
It's sexual, but it's not really demeaning or grody. I don't know.
Oh, at one point, she thought this was very funny, and I pointed this out. At one point, we were talking about methadone clinics.
Okay.
And we were talking about methadone clinics. At one point, I just grab her tits and then I start sucking on her tits, and I pull back, and I'm like, isn't it funny we were talking about methadone clinics, and I'm just sucking on your tits?
You got a kick out of that? She laughed?
Yeah, she did.
It's got to be good to make the strippers laugh.
Yeah, but they kind of have to laugh. We also both... We were dry humping at one towards the end, and then the DJ had to direct people over the speaker to the exit. He had to do it multiple times, and we started laughing
because people didn't know how to leave.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh. That's I'd go to a strip club. I'd say, hey, you can pretend to like me, but don't pretend to laugh. I want all the laughs to be real.
Yeah.
If I tell a joke that isn't funny, don't laugh at it. But if it is
let
funny,
me bomb.
Yeah. Listen, I know you don't actually like me or think I'm hot, but I think I could convince you I'm funny.
Yeah.
I think that's still possible in this situation. I can leave with something real.
Yeah.
Which is having made you laugh at my big methadone clinic joke.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about methadone clinics around, places that we spent our childhoods and shit.
Right. How long were you there?
An hour? Maybe more.
1 hour?
No, it was more. It's probably 80 minutes.
Hour and a half, $1,100.
It was it does boost your confidence, you know?
Seems like an easy place to spend money.
Yes.
It's like an after-hours bar.
I also paid my rent specifically that night because I knew I just needed to know how much money I had in case I needed to get more.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. That's the kind of night where you're like, all right, I'll pay my rent, and then I'll spend everything else I have.
Yes.
Because I will know that I truly have that money.
Yes, and I also know I'm getting my paycheck on Friday.
Right.
I'm getting my paycheck and I have extra money.
So you got stuff coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was funny about the night. Funny or interesting.
They have food at the strip club?
Not this one. I have a water bottle at home, which is
Did you bring your water bottle into the strip club?
I didn't.
With the straw?
Yeah. So they gave me a water bottle because there's a $26 cover fee. And if I go back, what you're allowed to do if you're going to see a specific stripper, you can basically make you can like, on the site, you can like...
Make an appointment?
Yeah, make an appointment, you get them free.
Because they know you're going to go spend a couple hundred anyway.
Yes.
Oh, that seems efficient.
Yeah.
And then when you walk in, you can pretend like you guys like each other.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole thing.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's like, I was waiting for you.
Yes.
And you're like, yeah, you were. Because you like me.
Because we're friends, right?
I want to go to a strip club and just get lap dances the whole time and go, man, you like me. You love me.
I don't remember which friend it was. Oh, yeah. I've had a couple friends walk away from a strip club thinking that the stripper liked them. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
you're giving them money.
Yeah, I think, it takes a lot of self-esteem and confidence to operate well in a strip club.
I think it also just to think that they actually like you requires a level of stupidity. The only way you could really make a stripper like you is if you were kind of smart. So if you walk away thinking they like you, then they definitely did not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because you're walking away alone.
Yes.
From a person who's never going to see or contact you again. Unless you go back to their place of business and pay to see them again.
Yes.
So once you remember that, I think that's why
I know people that have married strippers that they were regulars of.
Right. It definitely happens. And I think that's what helps trick guys.
Yes.
And it's also just like, even though it is a job where you're paying for somebody to be nice to you, they're still humans.
For sure.
There's still a possibility that they could like you. And if you want them to like you, then you're going to believe the positive possibility more than the negative.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to believe, well, maybe I'm on the upside of it.
Yeah.
That she likes me. I feel like too much of a loser to go to strip clubs. I have too low self-esteem and don't like myself. So I think going in there would just be a trap and a bad idea.
I feel like
I would either be tricked or I would just leave and be like, well, yeah, none of those women would ever talk to me in real life, which is a bad attitude. But
my self-esteem is within the last month has raised really high, and it's really coincidental, like coincided with this getting this watch.
Well, yeah, I mean, look good, feel good is very true. If you put on even just a button-up shirt and you walk out the door, you feel better than 95% of the people you see.
I mean, I'm wearing a full Dickies fit right now.
That's gotta feel amazing.
I feel like a fucking criminal. Somebody messaged me and was like, "Are you a gangster now?"
Who, like a comedian?
No, a girl I used to date.
Nice. That means it's a real concern.
Yes.
Yeah, that's somebody that knows you and is like, he could potentially be a criminal.
Yeah, I always have. I guess there is that side of me, which just comes from like how I grew up. That's always is an option. I mean, if you didn't grow up with that stuff, then that isn't fully an option unless you enter it stupidly.
I just don't see you ever becoming a criminal due to I just think you would have a lack of interest in being a criminal.
Well, I know it's bad.
Yeah, and in that way, I don't think you would be able, because like part of being a criminal is you kind of have to believe your own bullshit. You also have to, you kind of believe you probably won't get caught, I mean, I think a smart criminal knows he could always get caught, but I think at the same time, you have to have a certain level of confidence in that what you're doing is like fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you could have that with the way you think about things.
Yeah.
I think you just wake up every day and be like, well, I am a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I sell fentanyl to people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a good guy. And then, yeah, I think you understanding that you'd have to reckon with that every day is just sort of like, well, then it's not really worth it.
And you also just see criminals like destroy the lives of people you love growing up.
Exactly. So you'd be that.
Yes.
You would have to wake up every day and be that.
Yeah, you'd have to wake up every day and be like, oh, I'm the same type of dude that ruined like the life of the people I love the most in the world.
Well, not only do you have to wake up and reckon with that, is then you also have to make a bunch of money and then somehow be able to be happy with your life.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're going to do all that, then you should be amped on how sick your life is. If you're like, I have a sick-ass car, I have a sick-ass apartment, my life is fucking awesome, I'm winning. So you have to deny all the pain you're giving to win, to even enjoy anything you have. I think that's why I like stand-up and why I'm not interested in pursuing a regular type of career even, not even a criminal career. It's just sort of like, well, even if I pursued a better career and made a lot more money, it wouldn't be enjoyable.
Yes.
Because what would be the point of it is just sort of like, yeah, I do something I don't like, I don't believe in, and it's all what, to get a Mercedes or something?
Yeah, there's a lot of comedians that have office jobs, and it's like, don't do stand-up then. It's like...
Yeah, if somebody has too good of a job, it's just sort of like, well, how's that ever going to work out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you know...
How much passion could you properly give into art if you're, like, doing a job you hate?
Yeah. Like, I know Devontre at the Comedy Store is a real comic, not just because he's very funny, and not just because of the way he acts, but because he left Google.
Yeah.
If you work at Google and then you leave, then you're a real comic.
I think Devontre got hired like a month ago, and he's already, I think, one of the funniest. And Joey. One of the funniest people there.
Yeah. They're real comics.
Yeah.
You know? It's...
Joey, if you check out Joey Cerrone, me and him are part of a comedy duo called The Funny Boys.
Yeah, and everybody fucking hates it because you guys are ripping off Schmock and Vallely, Comedy Store paid regulars from the 80s. Schmock and Vallely already did it. You're not.
Which I had never heard of them before you pointed this out.
You stole it.
No, I simply had never heard of that. So if you wanna check us out, we'll be performing at Madison Square Garden every single week.
You're not.
We are. We're selling out Madison Square Garden every single week, like Billy Joel.
Show me the tickets. I don't think you are.
I can't show you the tickets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do the quips. Joey does the props.
Oh.
Yeah, Joey does. If you want to check out, we do like a prop thing where he'll pull out like a big comb, and I'll be like,
that's not funny.
He'll pull out a big comb.
Too big to use on your hair. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's part of the quip.
Comedy has to be realistic. That's not.
I'll see the big comb, and Joey Cerrone, he has a huge afro, right? He's got a big afro. And I'm like, oh, you're probably going to need a bigger comb with that afro.
Do you guys know everybody in the comedy scene calls you the Sugar Hill Gang because you went to the Comedy Cellar and stole everybody's rhymes?
Nobody calls us that.
Everybody calls you the Sugar Hill Gang because they're known for stealing rhymes, and so are you.
I feel like this episode's already over.
Yeah, I mean, it might as well be with how much you steal rhymes.
But, yeah, so there's like he does this really funny thing with a puppet. He pulls out a life-size puppet. Puppet's bigger than me. It's part of the joke, part of the humor. It's a life-size puppet, bigger than me. And I kind of get really flustered about how his puppet's bigger than me, Because, I'm 5'4", puppet's like 5'7".
Okay.
Yeah, and the puppet's based on me.
That's not funny.
The puppet is based on me.
I don't know why you guys are called the Funny Boys. Nothing you do is funny.
I think you're jealous because we sell at Madison Square Garden every single week.
I'm not jealous. I sell out Radio City Music Hall every single week, and I like it.
You don't. You made that up.
I did not make that up. Listen.
You've never heard of Radio City Music Hall. If sound off in the comments if you think Cooper is a buster. If you think Cooper is lying about selling out Radio City Music Hall, because I don't know if Radio City Music Hall. It's in New York, correct? Cooper says correct. So if the big New York acts, the Funny Boys, have never heard of you, and you also perform at the Radio City Music Hall, another notable New York venue, then We're New York and LA. We're bi-coastal. Yes, we're bi-coastal. We have to fly out every single week. And when we aren't performing, we will do... So most of our shows are late night because we get pretty raunchy. We get pretty raunchy at Madison Square Garden. We do like 2 shows, one at 10, one at 12. And we go up at least 3 or 4 times at the Comedy Cellar, but right before our spots.
That is not true.
We're past at the Comedy Cellar.
You're not past the Comedy Cellar. I went to the Comedy Cellar, and they said nobody knew you.
I went to the Comedy Cellar, and they said, everyone knows you. We all love you. Everyone knows you so hard.
I went to the Comedy Cellar, and they said your moms didn't know you, and just nobody knew you. So can you explain that at all?
I went to my mom's house, and she was scared of me because of my hood attitude.
Your mom's was not scared of you.
My mom was scared of me. I can't talk to my mom because she's terrified. So, what is Cooper doing today?
I have this new book, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy book. You're familiar with cognitive behavioral therapy?
Kind of, yes.
It's just pretty much all new forms of psychotherapy or cognitive behavioral therapy. It's trying to change your perception, to change your moods, essentially like the way you talk to yourself will change your moods.
Okay.
So this guy developed a quick depression test, gives you a score.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take it?
Let's take it.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask you these just simple questions, and then you're going to give me an answer on a scale of 0 to 3. Okay, so 0, not at all. 1, somewhat. 2, moderately. 3, a lot.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
0 to 3. Okay, so we'll start. Sadness. Have you been feeling sad or down in the dumps?
3.
3, a lot?
Yes.
Okay, you said you've been feeling better, though. But still?
Yes, I would still say I have a constant... there's just and even when I'm feeling good, there's a constant feeling of sadness.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty. Discouragement. Does the future look hopeless? 0 to 3.
3.
3? Feels hopeless a lot.
Yes.
Okay, low self-esteem. Do you feel worthless or think of yourself as a failure?
1.
1. Hey, that's pretty good. How about that? Nice. Inferiority. Do you feel inadequate or inferior to others?
2.
Okay. It's pretty solid for a comedian. That might even be healthy for a comedian. Guilt. Do you feel self-critical and blame yourself for everything?
3. 4 if possible.
We'll stick with 3, but I do like that eagerness. And that's good. Indecisiveness. Do you have trouble making up your mind about things?
3.
Right? I'm with you on that one. Also, so far, I just want to say every single question I've asked Shane, I answered 3. Irritability and frustration. Have you been feeling resentful and angry a good deal of the time?
3.
Okay. That's the cool one. You want to say yes to that. Loss of interest in life. Have you lost interest in your career, your hobbies, your family, or your friends?
3.
Interesting. I said 1 on that one, which was tough to say 1.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to be like, well, I feel so terrible.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I was like, I do feel terrible, but I do have an interest in all those things. Sometimes it's hard to get out of the house, but I'd kind of be lying if I said I had no interest. So you have no interest in me. A lot. Loss of motivation. Do you feel overwhelmed and have to push yourself hard to do things?
3.
Okay. Poor self-image. Do you think you are looking old or unattractive?
2.
Okay. 2, not bad. Not bad. Not bad for a 25-year-old.
27.
27, my bad. Appetite changes. Have you lost your appetite or do you overeat or binge compulsively?
3.
Okay. Do you binge or do you not eat enough?
Both.
Right? I kind of feel the same way. Sleep changes. Do you suffer from insomnia and find it
3.
hard? Okay. Didn't even have to finish. Loss of libido. Have you lost your interest in sex? 0 to 3.
2.
2. Interesting.
I'm just going in the middle because it just kind of flips.
Right. We could say somewhat, too, if you want, but moderately we can keep that. Hypochondriasis. Do you worry a great deal about your health? 0 to 3.
3.
Oh, really? What do you worry about?
I worry about cancer a lot. I think about cancer like every day.
It's hard not to, right?
Yeah.
What kind of cancer do you worry about?
Lung, but just general cancer. A lot of people in my family have cancer.
Yeah, I worry about skin and brain.
Yeah.
Because I have
Oh, brain is a big one, yeah.
I don't know what it is, limbic system or whatever, hypothalamus or whatever, it's releasing too much testosterone. Found out that can be a brain tumor, can be pushing on that, cause too much tea, and then you act exactly how I act.
Oh,
so I've been worried
yeah.
about that. I act exactly like a guy with a brain tumor. All right, this is the fun one. That's why they save it for last. Do you have thoughts that life is not worth living or think that you might be better off dead? Suicidal impulses.
I feel like you know the answer to this one.
Well, I mean, I want to give you a shot. I don't want to
All right.
put words in your
yeah,
mouth.
yeah. Your pin is already on 3, so
Okay. So we will do 3. All right. Let's tally your scores. So 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 13, 16.
Wait, 9 plus 3. That's 12,
Oh, my
15,
bad.
18, 21, 24.
Okay,
27, 30.
32, 35, 38. Oh, you beat me. Okay, you have a 38, so you are with me. I'm going to write Shane under your name just so I know for my own future reference. So yeah, 31 to 45 is severe depression. It's actually the last category you can be in is severe. So yeah, you beat me by 4 points. Let's see our differences. So low self-esteem, you only said a 1, I said a 3. Inferiority, you said a 2, I said a 3, which I do think is a difference in our depression.
Yes.
Is you don't seem to get, at least publicly, down on yourself too much, or at least think that you suck compared to others.
Yeah, I don't think so, but there's still a little bit of that. I kind of feel like, I guess we have the same deal, so, like, I guess there is that the two masks,
Yeah, I think I get a little more self-pity than you do, which I don't like about myself. Okay.
We didn't finish going through all the differences.
Okay. So then those were the same. Loss of interest in life. So I only put that as a 1 because I do feel interested. You said 3, so you have much less interest in your family than friends than I do. Poor self-image. Do you feel looking old or unattractive? I said. 1,
loss of interest 2 might be better, might be more appropriate.
Okay, we can do a 2. So that'll bring you down to a 37. See, you're already getting better. How does that feel? Don't you feel good?
I feel good. Yeah.
Don't you feel better already? Okay, and then appetite changes. I said a lot, just because I do feel like my appetite, it just never is consistent.
You said moderate.
Right. Fuck, we did have different ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so iffy. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, mine is deeply, like, it's either I'm binge eating or I'm, like, not eating.
Well, it's hard to even call it binge eating, because I'm like, I just feel like I don't eat enough.
Yeah.
So when I eat, I'll eat a lot.
Yeah.
Which I guess is binge eating. But to me, it just seems like, well, of course.
I think when I binge eat, I probably binge eat more than you do. So I guess.
You think you can eat more than me?
I think I probably could.
What
yeah.
The hell?
Yeah.
Sleep changes. So yeah, I said 2. You said a lot. I find it very hard to fall asleep. I toss and turn a lot. I wake up. Been waking up more throughout the night, and I don't believe that I ever get good sleep.
I never get good sleep. I have nightmares almost every night. Which it's better because I used to have nightmares every night, and I would wake up in the middle of the night like sweaty and like I would make noises. I would. I also like my sleep is very inconsistent, and it's also very very difficult to sleep. Majority of the nights I'm at least in bed for at least 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes I'll be in bed for maybe 7 hours. 7 or 8.
Not sleeping.
Yes.
Is that not even on the phone?
No, not on the phone.
You're just
I'm
awake,
just stuck. Yeah.
trying to sleep.
Yeah, and I don't feel it's like a sunk cost fallacy because I'm like, well, if I get up, then I'll stay up for longer than I want to.
Yeah. Loss of libido. This is the most interesting one because I said 0. As much as I hate life, how much I love pussy and dicks and everything has not gone away at all. But you are on SSRIs.
I'm not.
You're on pills, though, that you can't come from.
I can't come.
Does that lower your libido, though?
It doesn't lower my libido, but I have a very inconsistent libido. It if I like, this is what's interesting. If I like a person, then my libido goes down. My libido goes down towards other people.
Oh,
it's hard.
Well, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, but it's also it's a big thing that depends on how depressed I can be, because I'll go weeks without it. I'll go weeks without, jacking off or anything. But I could also fucking go days. Sometimes it's like 4 or 5 times
in a day.
Yeah.
So it really fluctuates.
Yes.
What's happening in the weeks when you're not jacking off? Are you depressed?
Depression.
Yeah, I wish that I jack off every fucking day.
Yeah.
Every goddamn day I jack off, probably 1 to 2 times a day. And I would like that to not be a thing.
Yeah, I either am like...
And I could work on it, but I also just don't want... I would rather it just not even,
If I'm in a certain... if I'm in a high libido mood, that's when I start... I'll jerk off like 3 times, and then I'll like jerk off with like a finger in my ass just to get that like last 2 out.
How many? Like, what is the span of time? Is that
this might be with
waking to sleeping 5 times?
This might be within a 2 to 3 hour period.
Yeah. Doesn't it suck where you have those days where you're like, fuck, I'm going to jack off again?
Yes.
You're like, I have so little dopamine that to just even keep being depressed and just sit here, I'm going to jack off.
Yeah.
Okay.
The hypochondria one is interesting. I feel like the last one is the most interesting, though.
Yeah, so hypochondriasis, I said 1 because I think more than a normal, and I might be maybe not able to realize how anxious I am about dying and shit. Because I definitely think about it at least once a day.
Yeah.
Of something that's like my skin, I'm going to have skin cancer. Maybe I have a brain tumor. Maybe I always worry that I have like an STD.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't, I have bad skin. It's been getting cold. My lip started chapping and I was like, I have herpes.
Yeah.
And I have no reason to think I have herpes. I know I don't. Like, do you ever notice when you try and get an STD test and you don't have they're always weird about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like, well, do you have a reason? You're like, well, I had sex with somebody and they said they were clean and I think they were and I feel fine, but I'd like to get a test. And they treat you like a pussy.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird. You go in there and they're like, oh, well, you don't have any symptoms. And you're like, no, I want to fuck. How many people are coming in here symptomatic?
Yeah.
Like, you should get a test before anything. Just if you fuck raw,
here's how obsessed I am with grossness. I sometimes want to have chlamydia just because I want to see the pus squeeze out. I want to squeeze the pus out.
It would hurt.
Yeah, but I want to see. There's a fascination I have with pus.
I mean, that's the grossest shit ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that is part of why.
You want pus to come out of your dick.
Yeah.
What if it leaves a lasting scar, though?
I don't know.
I guess that might also be cool.
Yeah, I guess
if you
so.
had a scarred penis. Okay, so yeah, suicidal impulses. Do you have thoughts that life is not worth living or that you might be better off dead? We both answered 3. I will say, this week, because of the placebo effect of starting this book, you're thinking more about stuff. It's a lot harder to go to suicidality.
Yeah.
Because you're putting labels on stuff. You're realizing that some of the ways you're thinking are emotional distortions. So getting to that suicidality is a little tougher. But
I want to say, I also think the suicidal idealization is also connected to the sleep. I've noticed that I can sleep better if I imagine very graphic torture on myself, like eyes gouged out, earlobe, pencil shoved in earlobes, limbs chopped off, just being a writhing husk, like a body with no sensory experience.
Do you think that's sort of like a kind of thing where
I imagine myself killed pretty often?
Yeah, so getting killed is interesting because it's you don't want to be alive, but maybe you don't have a drive to kill yourself, or at least it's not as strong as the drive to death.
Yes.
Because I think most people that struggle with suicidality don't necessarily want to kill themselves, but they don't want to be alive.
Yes.
And then being killed is even a greater example of that because you have no choice in the matter.
Yeah.
So it's just you just want it to be over. but you don't really want to have to necessarily have a hand in it.
Yeah.
Maybe be responsible for it. You don't want to bum everybody you love out.
Yes,
Be better
exactly.
to die. See, and then and I think this is what we're talking about with me being more self-pitying. I don't like this about myself, very selfish. I really want to be the one to kill myself.
Yeah.
Like to murder myself, to destroy myself, for people to know, like, oh, his pain was that deep.
Yes.
Which is silly. But
I understand the thought.
Because it does feel weird when you really want to kill yourself, and everybody around you can never fully understand the depths of that, even if they themselves want to kill themselves, where you almost feel like, no, I'm pretty much a dead person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where you're like,
yes,
I don't think you guys get it. Like, I am practically the same as people who are already dead from suicide.
Yes.
I'm just not dead yet. And I'm like not joking when I say these things. But then you don't always know, because it's like, well, I wake up every day and I don't kill myself.
Yeah.
And I haven't like physically acted out suicide or attempted it in a while. So there's that. How many times have you attempted it?
Maybe twice.
It's hard to know what an attempt is.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean? Because like I've tied a belt to that closet doorknob to see like, well, if I tie it tight enough and I lean, would I be able to choke myself? And then I found out one time that I kind of could.
Yeah.
And then just the comfort of knowing that I could end my life pretty easily with a belt in my own apartment was not a healthy sense of comfort.
I remember one time...
But there was decision-making ability now.
I remember one time I had to lock myself in my room when I was 14, I want to say, because I was well aware that if I left my room, my brain would drag me towards the like knives and shit.
Not the guns?
Yeah, I don't... The guns were locked in a safe.
Yeah, I think if I had a gun, it would be a matter of days.
If I had a gun, it wouldn't... I don't... My obsessions are not with suicide so much as it is as a drive towards death, as you said.
Yeah.
As at this point, I fantasize about getting like a huge revolver, just to have like, I don't know. There's something.
Do you think that's a difference in the way we were raised?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this I think is
because it's sort of like in your position, there were a lot more things happening to you.
Yeah.
And so then your depression is not necessarily I'm worse than other people. It's the world sucks.
Yes.
And then I was born in the middle class where you're given a lot of options and a lot of power, which leads to a lot of self-centeredness. And also you want to be in control of things, but then I don't feel equipped to be good at life. So I'm like, well, what can I control? It's the end of I can do that.
Yes.
I can make the decisions because this is about me, But you know what I think my problem is I was raised in a comfortable middle-class house. Then there's relapses in the family. There's a divorce. Things get very dark. There's a whole other side of life I hadn't seen. So it's like I'm very pampered. You have decision-making ability, and then you don't.
Yes.
So it's like then you have this conflict of self where you're like, well, I was raised to think that life was nice and I could build the life I want. But now things are happening to me.
Yes.
So instead of just feeling like the world sucks like you do, I feel slighted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like this isn't the deal that I was given. I was told that I was going to be able to be anything I want to be. And now the way the family's falling apart is completely out of my control. So fuck you. I want to shoot myself.
Yes.
And say fuck all of you.
Yeah, I think we both have delusions of grandiosity, which I think comes from like the hypomania.
Yeah, I wonder about the hypomania, because I was diagnosed bipolar 2 by a not well-attentive therapist, so I don't trust it. And I don't feel like I've had fits of hypomania. I
think you are, like, just from, like, seeing people that are bipolar, like, especially my family, I think that you are. And
yeah, because I do have some days, I appreciate that, I do have some days where I wake up and I feel the mania feeling, where things are good for no reason, and I'm hyped on myself, and I feel like things are going to be good. And that's immediately accompanied by thoughts of, this is not real.
You know
Which
what
I think is why I doubt, because I don't have full mania, because there's always kind of like
No, that's how I feel too.
Feeling too good.
I also, another thing, if I haven't taken my meds in a while, I'll have kind of an episode of delusion. I'll have, like, I'll feel, like, disrespected by somebody and then be like, I have to fight them.
Yeah, you have a fighting urge.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a friend of ours who's one of the nicest. He was a very, very nice, sweet guy. And I remember I was at a mic one time, and I had to, like, I saw him, like, I basically got it in my head that he was purposely going to put me up last, and I was like, I don't want to, but if I get disrespect like that, I have to fight him.
Yeah. I think we both have a fear of being fucked.
Yes.
Of, like, this person wants to fuck me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's also, I have a big thing, because, like, my parents had, like, a healthy marriage. Like, when my parents got divorced, my friend Noah was like, damn, your parents got divorced? Like, they weren't supposed to get divorced.
None of us are safe.
So I have a lot of, like, not believing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sort of like, well, this can't be good. Because I saw a good thing end. I saw a good thing become my dad and my brother living in an extended stay Holiday Inn in the same room, both addicted to different drugs.
Yes.
Where just a couple of years ago, he was dad with a family.
I want to go back to the low self-esteem thing, and I guess I think that is a big difference between you and me, and also how we were raised, is that I do think just the way that I was raised, it does give you I guess it's similar to, like, I mean, it's similar, but it's not, like, rappers grew up in way fucking worse, situations, but you do have this, like, swinging your nuts around, like fucking, I mean, most confidence is false, but you just kind of have this confidence of, it's like, I made it through what I made it through,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm dope.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, and I feel like I had a weird thing where, like, even when things are bad, I still had a good mom who tried to get a good home.
Yeah.
And, like, I was thinking about it on the drive here, is like, I can't make rent this month, and my parents helped me. And I appreciate it, and I can't deny it, because I don't have, but it's also like, yeah, I feel like I've never actually been my own person. So I'm left with this kind of depression that also has no self-esteem. So I've never done anything for myself.
I guess if you don't have parents that are supportive, especially when you're a kid. I mean, my parents are, like, supportive now,
Yeah.
But you are left with this just feeling of aloneness. Yeah, it's a serious episode. I was thinking about
that, though. It sounds much worse, but it's also, like, just this whole...
Here's a thought I had about abuse, of that the hardest part about it is, one, that, like, they make you feel complicit. That's one big part, is that you inherently feel a complicity to it. And I think a big one I was thinking of is, it's like, oh, by being who you are, you stole my family from me.
You're saying that about your parents?
I mean, I don't like talking about that sort of stuff on here, but
sure. It is a tough thing to reckon with. Even I feel that way, where I feel like I've overall forgiven my parents for what happened. But then when I really think about it, I feel like I'm on an island away from the rest of my family.
Yeah.
Because, and you're in a similar situation, I was the youngest, but either way,
I was the oldest of my dad's kids.
Yeah. But you're outside of the problem. The problems are caused by other people, and they're happening to you.
Yes.
And then in my situation, I was the only one who wasn't causing problems.
Yeah.
Because it's like, brother relapse, dad relapse, mom has to protect herself.
Yeah.
She's doing the right thing, but she's still leading to the end of the family. I don't blame her for it. Anybody would have done it, but she did. So it's like, those three were the three horsemen of destruction for the entire family.
It's interesting.
I was just the one that it happened to. So it's like, well, fuck you. And that, I think, leads to a lot of victimization, self-pity.
It's interesting to only have one sibling in that situation versus, like, because I had fucking 3.
Yeah.
And it does create a lot of guilt. Like, when you have, I mean, I don't know if you feel this way about your brother, but it's like, my siblings, there's no one in the entire world that I love more than my 3 siblings.
Mm-hmm.
But you feel this level of guilt because it's like, I mean, you're connected to all of them through how you grew up, you know? So there's always a feeling of, you know, like I love these people more than anyone, but it's sometimes very difficult to reach out, you know? Because you know that if you speak to them, there's always going to be something that pulls you back into what is the worst part of your life.
Yeah, I don't know if families ever fully heal.
Yeah.
Because you all heal separately. But then it does kind of feel like when you get together, and now it's like my family's past the bad times, but they still feel very present because they define every moment since the bad times. So even the good times have grown out of the bad times.
Yeah.
Like the flowers we're picking now are still from a soil that is covered in heroin. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? So it's like, sort of like, anytime I see my brother and my dad, the conversation of like, gosh, everything fell apart could happen at any time, it feels like, you know what I mean? And yeah, it does. When I do talk to them, I notice we have different perspectives on it, you know what I mean? And like, they've apologized to me and I just try and explain to them, it's like, well, you know, really to get through it, I just had to look at you guys as pathetic. I just had to believe that you'd gotten yourselves into a pathetic state and that what you were doing was really just hilarious. Like, it's funny how we had a nice family. And then in the way that you all ruined it is almost hilarious, which I think is a complete coping mechanism. But it's complete. Nobody in my family can relate to the feeling because they were causing problems. So they had to cope, but not in the way I had to cope. Whereas like I was just watching a terrible movie that was my life and then had to make sense of it. Whereas they were in the movie.
Yeah, I never found any of the people those people I grew up with pathetic, but I kind of took it as a whole of like all this horror. And that, I mean, if you look at a lot of like the really horrible fucked up parts of your life, they're kind of funny.
Exactly. That's how I always feel. And yeah, it's like the pathetic thing is just sort of, you know,
I got a really wild story I probably told you before, but I'm not going to say on the pod. I'll talk to you about it afterwards.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, guys. You have to be close friends with me to learn this story.
Yeah, seeing people that you viewed as very effective or intelligent, like completely ruin themselves, gave me a big thing of you never in life want to be pathetic. And now that I'm pursuing stand-up and I'm not where I'm at, I don't have as much money as I need, that pathetic thing comes back a lot because I'm like, well, I'm pathetic. I'm not, because I like everything that happened in my childhood and seeing how if you don't take care of yourself, everything can fall apart made me think like, okay, the most important thing is to like get your head right, be an effective person. But obviously I've taken it too far because I've gone so deep into a depression that I'm not being effective.
Yeah.
Because it's like I have a fear of that patheticness. And that's why it's like, you know, if I don't crush, then it is a bomb. And people are like, you get off stage and sometimes it's fine. You say it was a bomb. And it's like, because I don't want to be pathetic. You know, I have a fear of being pathetic, of just being not being effective.
Here's my philosophy on a bomb. I consider it a bomb if you walk away and they don't like you. They may not dislike you, but they don't like you. And so every time I walk away from a mediocre set, I'd rather people dislike me than just not like me.
Yeah, like you give them reason to hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're talking about with control. I do that, I think, even more than you in terms of self-destruction.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if it's going bad, I'll fucking make it bad. You know, like sometimes if I'm bombing, I'll just talk about how suicidal I am.
Yeah.
Just to be like, well, you feel this then. I feel bad. I want you guys to know that I'm on the brink of killing myself. And most of you are going to love hearing that. You'll actually enjoy it because you want me to die. When they don't like your stand-up, they want you to die. And they think they're right in that. There's a few people that'll care. Do you want to take the anxiety inventory?
I had one more thing to say, and I also have to piss.
Okay.
The anxiety inventory will be interesting, though. So this goes back to stand-up. I posted a book on my story today about
It was a light book, right?
No. This is a more, the light one was James Thurber, but this is about Dwayne Tinsley, who's he was the chief editor of cartoons on Hustler magazine, and he got accused of doing incest, and he has this cartoon which is in Hustler, is a repeated cartoon called Chester the Molester, which is just a character who's a pedophile. And they used that in the court as proof that he was a pedophile. And what he says about the cartoon, and it's like what it's supposed to be about, really like is very influential to my thought on jokes of people. People basically asked him, it's like, why does this exist? Why is this funny? And he's just like, it isn't funny. This is it. It's these are real things. This is a real type of person that exists. And through comedy, I just need people to know that.
Yeah. I think that's my biggest problem in stand-up right now is needing people to know things. Yeah,
you kind of it's funny. I have that thing when I talk about drugs. I have like 8 minutes on fucking hard drugs. And I feel like sometimes I'll do it on the road and people just don't want to hear about it. But it's like in my brain, I'm just like, but you need to hear about this.
Yeah. I think maybe as we let go of resentment and anger about things, I think as with a lot of things, you need people to know less things about you.
Yeah.
And about the world. You don't need other people to understand things.
Yeah.
It's very tough to walk away from.
Absolutely.
Because like, well, if you could just understand, then what happened to me wouldn't happen. But it did.
It did.
Can't not happen.
Yeah.
And you're trying to change the future and the past and everything, but it's already happened.
But let's do the anxiety inventory really quick. All right.
Because you don't want to take an anxiety inventory while you have to pee. This just a little background on this book. I want to say I don't like self-help books. I'm very averse to them. I don't know if you can tell by my general disposition. I think I'm cooler than a lot of things. This was not given to me as a self-help book. This was given to me as a cognitive behavioral therapy workbook by my father, who's a therapist. This book is written by a therapist. It is called the Feeling Good Handbook. It's a very gay name, but essentially, cognitive behavioral therapy, like I was saying earlier, is just the belief in trying to change thought patterns, brain functioning, and I think literally build new neural pathways that are away from your regular sense of negativity and the way your brain usually functions. The way I think of thoughts are kind of like water, and they're going to fall into the creeks that are the deepest. And the more you think negatively, the more you grow these neurotransmitters, these deeper creeks, and that's where your water's going to go. And you have to try and slowly erode away another side of the mountain that is more optimistic. And I will say, when I read this book, and when I think about the things in the book, I feel physically different parts of my brain acting. And I don't know how real that is, but I will say when I'm in a negative hater mood, I feel different. And when I am in a positive mood, I feel different. And I don't mean emotionally, I mean physically. Like my brain feels different, my head feels different, the way I speak. And so to me, even if it's not proof, it feels like some sort of proof that this is a physical act that's happening. Like this is in a book and it's mental, but it's a physical exercise. Because I don't believe in too big of a difference.
One of our friends has Percocet, so I'm going to try to buy it.
Why?
Because it feels good.
I thought you don't do drugs anymore.
Yeah, I shouldn't, but I don't know. Maybe I won't.
What is this? Why do you want to do Percocet all of a sudden? You've been like fully sober for months.
I just don't drink.
Yeah, but you don't smoke weed. Yeah, when was the last time you did coke?
2.5 years.
Okay, so when was the last time you did any drug or alcohol?
2 years.
Congratulations. It's so hard to do. Most people...
I've smoked weed, though, but I don't...
You don't really like weed.
No, I don't.
You're not a weed guy at all.
No,
I don't think there's any bit of you that is a weed guy. Don't take Percocet.
I took,
You realize how easy you spent $1,100 in the strip club. Imagine Percocet. You buy it once, 3 days later, if not the next day, you'll buy it again.
All right.
This podcast gets 15 fucking viewers. We can't afford to have a perk addiction.
Yeah, you're right.
The podcast is already failing. We're doing anxiety inventories. We don't know what we're doing. We can't have fucking perks. This is a great podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so same deal as last time. It's just with anxiety. These are feelings. These are, things.
Is this like the intervention? You're just like, we're going to figure out how fucked up Shane is.
No, I just thought it would...
Twisted.
No, because I'm telling you my scores, too. I mean, this isn't, it's not just me. I thought it'd be funny, and I think it's funny that we both have, so far, alarmingly high scores. And, okay, before we start, I'll tell you my score. So I got a 38 on this.
Okay.
31 to 50 is severe anxiety. 51 to 99 is extreme anxiety or panic.
Okay.
Based on the last test and the tests and what we've talked about before,
this is going to be a long
I'm
episode.
thinking you may fall into 31 to 50.
Okay.
I'm hoping you don't go over 50 as a friend. But
Okay.
hey, if you are, we're here. Okay, so these are just essentially, do you feel these things is kind of the question for all these.
Okay.
Anxiety, nervousness, worry, or fear, 0 to 3.
3.
Okay. Feeling that things around you are strange, unreal, or foggy.
3.
Really? You feel that way?
Yeah, I get in these weird states of like of feeling high when I'm not, and just being like, what the fuck is happening?
Like, how is this life?
Yes.
Yeah. It was, I related to the sentiment, but I didn't feel like on a physical level I could really give myself that.
Mhm.
So I said 0. Feeling detached from all or a part of your body.
3.
Really? Okay.
I get depersonalization. This is more of a problem when I was a teenager, though. But yeah, I still kind of feel that way.
Kind of out of body.
Yes.
Like you're not you.
I've definitely had experiences where I was looking in through the third person.
Do you think that helps you dress kind of wild?
I guess so.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of fun. I think you sort of are able to view life more as a game in that way.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're not really coming from inside. You're kind of looking at yourself from outside. What do we want to put on this guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Sudden unexpected panic spells.
2.
Okay. That's moderate. Apprehension or a sense of impending doom.
3.
Right? I mean, how do you not? Feeling tense, stressed, uptight, or on edge.
3.
Okay. Difficulty concentrating.
3.
Okay. Racing thoughts or having your mind jump from one thing to the next.
3.
Okay.
I feel like you would already know that just from knowing me.
Yeah, but you hate to assume. Any of these would be rude to assume.
Yeah.
Because also, anxiety is so subtle. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely have a lot of anxiety, but some of these I can't say I feel. Frightening fantasies or daydreams.
3.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that already. Feeling that you're on the verge of losing control.
2.
That's a tough one, right? You almost want to say yes, but then I'm like,
you know what? I'm gonna say 3 actually.
Okay.
Just because. Yeah, the strip club thing did make me think about, because I left remembering what sort of guy I am.
which is what?
Kind of a wild, excessive guy.
Hey, but we're only who we are for as long as we are. Fears of cracking up or going crazy.
3.
Right.
I have this. I've had this since I was a kid. I used to get really anxious while using the toilet because I thought that there was a chance I was in a mental institution or I was crazy and I was using an anthill.
Oh, I wonder about that too.
Yeah.
Like you think what if my entire life is I'm just hallucinating all this and I'm a crazy
Well, yeah,
person?
yeah. No, I get that, especially if I smoke weed. I'm like, I'll get stuck in this state of, like, I lose my sense of time, and I'll be like, oh, this is forever.
That's why I have a hard time doing psychedelics right now. Because
psychedelics doesn't fuck with me as much.
Sometimes you just feel like your words don't make sense to anybody else, and that gets really high when I'm on psychedelics. And
I've done crazy amounts, so the most I've done is 10 grams of mushrooms, of the highest quality.
Even a small amount now. My brain is not in a good place for it.
You know, a small amount fucks with me more than a big amount.
I think I felt that way too recently because I took a microdose and it felt like I was just halfway up the ladder.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to go all the way up and just be up there.
My friend described it as you get on a plane, you fly to some other place, and then you just stay on the plane and fly back.
Yeah, you don't really go anywhere. Okay. Fears of fainting or passing out.
2.
Okay.
1.
Yeah, that felt more like a 1. Fears of physical illness or heart attacks or dying.
3.
Okay. Concerns about looking foolish or inadequate in front of others.
3.
That's interesting in relation to the self-esteem, but I do understand that. Fears of being alone, isolated, or abandoned.
3.
What? What do you mean? Okay. Fears of criticism or disapproval.
3.
Isn't that a big one?
Yeah.
Isn't that numero uno? Fears that something terrible is about to happen.
3.
Okay. Skipping, or these are physical symptoms. Skipping or racing or pounding of the heart, sometimes called palpitations.
2.
Okay. Pain, pressure, or tightness in the chest.
2.
Okay. Tingling or numbness in the toes or fingers.
None. No.
Okay. Butterflies or discomfort in the stomach.
2.
Okay.
3. 3, actually.
3.
Yeah.
Constipation or diarrhea?
3.
Okay. Which one?
Both? Yeah, both.
Very impressive. Restless or jumpiness?
3.
Okay. Tight or tense muscles?
3.
Okay. Sweating not brought on by heat?
1.
Right? Okay. A lump in the throat? You can also say 0 if not at all.
No. I know. 2.
Okay. Trembling or shaking?
Not at all.
Okay. Rubber or jelly legs?
1.
That's an interesting one. Feeling dizzy, lightheaded, or off balance?
3.
Okay. Is that often?
Yeah.
Choking or smothering sensations or difficulty breathing?
I'm gonna go with 1. I can't decide if it's 1 or 2.
It's a tough one. It's hard to give yourself some of these, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
You're kind of like, well, I've kind of felt that, but, you don't want to be inaccurate. Headaches or pains in the neck or back?
3.
Really?
Yeah, I have severe headaches.
Oh, right, you do. Hot flashes or cold chills?
1.
Okay.
2, actually. 2. Yeah, I get cold chills really often.
Feeling tired, weak, or easily exhausted?
3.
Right? How could you not? Okay.
I failed this one, I think.
Well, I mean, it's not a failure. You can't fail.
Yeah.
3, 6, 9, 11, 14, 17, 20, 23, 26, 29, 32, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45, 48, 50, 52, 0, 55, 58, 61, 64, 65, 67, 68, 71, 72, 75, 77, 80. You got an 80. Congrats.
Jesus Christ.
So you are in extreme anxiety or panic. I got a 38 on that one. I lost a lot of points in the... I wish they had questions about rashes. I have rashes. Then I could have got a cooler score. So yeah, I am in severe anxiety. That's 31 to 50. And you are pretty deeply in extreme anxiety or panic.
I guess that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean...
since I was a kid, I've had a lot of physical reactions to anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually the response of children growing up in stressful households. I mean, Bill Burr talked about how him and his siblings had stomach diseases that most of the time only adults have. So...
No, that happened when I was 13. I had to take a year off of school for
Really?
gut problems, and my brother from stress had a thing that's so uncommon. In people his age that they took he had to sign a waiver so they could show it at medical conferences.
Oh, you told me that.
Yeah.
Gosh. Well, yeah, I mean... This is nothing to feel bad about, but it is a good recognition of what your body is going through.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of physical exertion. You know what I mean? It's if you're at that level, and even at my level, wear you down is your body's working really hard.
Yeah.
To be that stressed all the fucking time. You know what I mean?
No, I didn't realize how, anxious I was until,
Anxiety, I think, is the number one thing that's easy to ignore.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, well, I'm just worrying about stuff, or I'm just...
There's nothing in there about social anxiety, which is interesting. It isn't like, a big thing. I don't really have social anxiety the way I did, but a big thing was the way I walked. I would walk really funny because I was so anxious that the way I was walking was funny. Like, so anxious that people noticed how I was walking.
Yeah, I get that. Well, there's social phobia in here. They talk about that. Fear of other people, tremendously common, more widespread among men. But yeah. So,
This is a very spooky Halloween-themed episode.
I wanted it to be spooky.
Yeah.
And this is spooky. But yeah, this book is just interesting because it's like reading a horoscope where it's like, I do that, except it's just like psychological illnesses and issues that one can have. And then once you read enough and you realize you have enough of those, and you already know that, but now there's words put to it, is when you're like, ugh. Like this one, like this whole description of like all or nothing thinking, overgeneralization, mental filter, which is where you pick out a negative detail and you dwell on it, discounting the positive, you don't think anything you do is actually good or worthwhile, even if it is, jumping to conclusions, magnification, emotional reasoning, where you say that the way you feel must be the way you are, should statements, telling yourself you should be doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then I read these 8 things and I'm like, these are the only thoughts I have.
Yeah.
These are just all my thoughts.
Yes. Anyway, I think it's time to go downstairs and smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. You probably tuned out at about minute 30.
I think this will give you good insight into the hosts that you're listening to.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe teach you to not leave bullshit-ass mean comments. Okay? If you know what we're going through. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Bye-bye.